So Lakers win 113-106. LeBron scored 34 points, 8 assists, 6 boards. Giannis scoring 25 points, 12 rebounds. Here's Dave McMenamin asking LeBron after the game about matching up against Giannis.
Is there any satisfaction in having success against Giannis? You're now 16-5. Your teams were 16-5 in your career against him, and he's 10 years younger than you, and he's the back-to-back MVP. Yet you're still able to find success.
Nah. I think you know me. I think all you guys know me. It's never been about individual. It's all about the team success, and that's all that matters. I can care less about that. I just try to play well and help our team win versus any opponent, and that's what it's all about.
So I will say later in that same press conference, one of the other reporters said, right, but you did say when Giannis beat you out for MVP, you were, quote, pissed off. So there has to be something there. I mean, you coached LeBron for a long time in Miami.
Yeah.
Do you buy him downplaying the rivalry talk?
It's not a rivalry.
Right.
I think there were too loosey-goosey with the word rivalry these days. When we were growing up, a rivalry was Magic and Bird. Dr. J.
And some blood had to be shed, too.
Come on, what are we talking about?
Rivalry.
That's not a rivalry yet. And so, LeBron is competing against history. So when he didn't get MVP, it was more thinking historically what I didn't get. It wasn't about Giannis beating him or anything like that. So, again, I think LeBron is looking at it. I think he's being honest. I'm looking at it from a legacy standpoint. I'm not looking at it as an individual competition. And it's not right now. Although Giannis is one of the great players in our league, he hasn't done enough to make this a rivalry. And it doesn't become a rivalry really to me until you get in the finals, really, and you start beating each other up.
At least the Eastern Conference Finals or something.
But not have to be a finals. And so they got to beat each other up in the finals a couple times before we start talking rivalry.
LeBron is here for one thing, and that's championships.
Yep.
That's it.
Plain and simple. You know what I mean? I think individual matchups are more for younger players chasing that throne. You know, when LeBron was coming up chasing Kobe, that was a big deal. And whether he admits it or not, it was. But LeBron is here for one reason. He can care less about who he's playing. The goal is to win, continue to improve, and be healthy for the finals. So he can care less about this. I agree with him.
No doubt about it.
No, it's fascinating. And look, when LeBron versus Steph, that felt like a rivalry, right? 5 years meeting.
Yeah,
right?
that's a rivalry.
That's a rivalry.
4 years meeting in the final, like all of that. I mean, that just felt.
But here's the crazy part. We're talking about a 36-year-old man.
Well, that's
insane, right? People are chasing him. He's not chasing. He has nothing to prove with individual matchups at this point in his career. So.
Yeah.
Does Giannis have a rival right now?
That first or second round of the playoff. That's about it.
Wow.
Hey, look, Matt, I can't say none of that. Matt Barnes is going to keep it as real as possible.
That is the realest
I can't follow
that. All right, guys, I want to switch gears because we got to talk about what's going on in Utah. The Jazz have won a league-best 7 straight games after beating the Pelicans last night, 129-118. Utah now tied for second place out west, just a half game behind the Lakers. So, Matt, is the NBA, are the casuals, as producer Danny says, sleeping on the Utah Jazz?
I don't think so. I think that the league knows that this is a very solid team, similar being built to how San Antonio was built, with just a solid coaching foundation, a solid organization, and players you can pull in and pull out. What I'm interested in watching is what Shaq said to Donovan Mitchell last night. And some people took it negative. The competitor in me took it as a challenge.
Yes.
Like, Donovan Mitchell is going to be on a mission the rest of the season. The rest of the league better look out. I think he's going to continue his great play, but I think in order for them to advance through the playoffs, they need one more consistent 20 to 25 point scorer to match up with Mitchell. But I think Mitchell's going to be on a tear now.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing is the first time this is a healthy Utah Jazz team. They got all their bullets right now, and that the addition of Mike Conley that we didn't really get to see get going, Bogdanovich, all of these guys now, and Denver is looking a little shaky, and Utah filled that slot quick.
Yep.
And so, in the West, it can move fast, so it's going to be interesting to see how Denver responds in this season. But I'm telling you what, you got bona fide superstar Donovan Mitchell, and the fact that they signed Rudy Gobert and they solidified that duo, I think that really built a lot of camaraderie and confidence in the overall team, and knowing that we're moving forward with these guys and everybody else filling your roles.
Shout out to Quinn Snyder. He's been doing a great job.
Awesome. Like I said, he's the one coach who I think is a great coach, and I want to hang out with him. That's my guy. He is the coolest.
He was assistant coach with the Lakers when I played for the Lakers. Great guy.
Great guy.
And look, there's teams, all sorts of teams are going to tweak right around or before the trade deadline. Maybe the top contenders like the Lakers or the Clippers would do that too. But it's teams like the Jazz, teams like the Nuggets that I'm watching to see, do they want to add that next piece, right? If Bradley Beal becomes available, what would that look like on a couple of those kinds of teams?
Zach LaVine. People are sleeping on Zach LaVine. He's another big scorer.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So that's another one to watch, too, is teams are ascending. A team like the Jazz that wins 7 straight, and suddenly the front office starts thinking, all right, we got something that they can. 4-time winner. The Sixers have the best record in the East so far, and according to Caesars William Hill, James has now moved into having the second best odds to win, while Embiid is in 6th. So, Brian, who you got of those two? We're just staying within this game right now.
Rachel, let's go back to a conversation LeBron had with you on national television in Orlando.
Yes.
Where I believe he said, give me my damn respect.
And that is accurate.
As an MVP voter, I have to say that I don't regret my vote for Giannis last year because Giannis had one of the greatest all seasons of all time, and the Bucks were amazing. But watching LeBron in the bubble, it reinforced the distance between him and everybody else. And with this season the way it is, where it's scattered, where there's a lot of guys going to be playing different levels of games, and because of LeBron, he's worth something more than 4 MVPs. I don't know if it should be 5. I don't know if it should be 7. I think the narrative, which as we know is so important in the MVP race, I think the narrative is on LeBron's side. And I think if he keeps playing this way, it's going to be very compelling for people like me who have not voted for him in recent years for various reasons, even if they were good, even though Joel Embiid is having a spectacular year.
Rach, I need to know, now that I'm part of the media, how do I get my vote?
I'm going to hook you up into a conference call with Tim Frank. We'll work it out.
I need to get in here. I'm taking LeBron, and as Brian alluded to, he should have at least 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. And you can say the same thing about Kobe back in the day. He should add more MVPs. I think the league gets caught up sometimes in getting what's new, what's fresh. Obviously, Giannis being MVP, brings a different attention from overseas. But LeBron has been the best player for a long time. He should definitely have more under his belt. But this year, I just love that it seems like he's so at peace with his game. And his team understands what they have to do, lead the league in defensive efficiency, understanding this is a marathon, not a sprint. So not only are they going to be, is it their title to lose, I also think it's LeBron's MVP to lose as well, because he's definitely, to me, in the front seat and should win it this year.
Well, I would argue that it's not a matter of voters getting caught up with what's new or fresh. It's about the criteria for the award. And poor Brian has had to hear me say this for 5 years now. But, Matt, I have a new audience with you, so I'm just going to go into it just a little bit again. The direction is who has had the best regular season. And LeBron James at times, and look, last year, as Brian pointed out, Giannis had a historic regular season. And that is what the award has been for. It has not been for who's the best player in the NBA. And the league has played into this by not modernizing and updating its awards the way, frankly, every other major pro U.S. sports league has. They have updated their awards, they have added scoring awards, or they have added awards that recognize the statistical best season being separate from who is the best player. And so that is why we have ended up with LeBron James not winning more MVPs. Before him, Kobe Bryant not winning more MVPs. Frankly, Michael Jordan not winning more MVPs. And I think there has been a bit of a turn among fans and even among some writers, and Brian, I think you're alluding to this a little bit, of just saying, okay, maybe we're just going to start awarding this for who we all know who the best player in the NBA is in a given year. And right now you could make an argument for LeBron. People are making an argument for Kevin Durant resurging. That is different from who has the best statistical season this year. And it will be interesting to me to see how voters vote at the end of this year. Because as you point out, Matt, that disparity between who's the best player in the NBA versus who had the best stats, it seems like in some ways it's only grown since we have more stats.
It's tough for me, as a former player, and this is all due respect to Giannis because he does have great regular seasons, but if you can't go to the MVP in the playoffs when it really counts, when the world is watching, when everything is on the line, how can you consistently continue to win MVP? LeBron is someone you can go to. KD is someone you can go to. Luka is someone you can go to. So I'm not knocking Giannis because his regular seasons have been off the charts, but as a player and guys and how we talk in the locker room, if you can't go to an MVP down the stretch in a playoff game, how is he MVP?
Yep, absolutely. And again, that's with the way the league has set up voting. Voting is done at the end of the regular season. So you can't even make that judgment or have that conversation when you're doing an MVP vote because it's supposed to be for only the 6 months that preceded it.